Hello, it's Julie. Today I'm going to do a wrap-up of everything I've read this summer, including the Booktubeathon. I'll be including books I didn't finish because I think that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of books to get through, so let's get started. First, I tried reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I got to about page 70 and decided it wasn't for me. I told you about this in my summer reading buffet video. I should have realised this wasn't for me when it was called Dickensian. I don't really like Dickens, so that should have been a clue. Next, I read and loved American Housewife by Helen Ellis. I also covered this in my summer reading buffet video, but I just loved this book. It's funny and true, and it's everything I could wish for in a short story collection. Then we have The Wall Creeper, which I did finish, but I thought, what did I just read? And why did I finish it? This book was just a huge WTF moment for me. The main character seemed stupid but wanted to be seen as smart. The language was full of cliches, used as cliches. It felt like it tried to be something it wasn't. It was just weird, and kind of weird I didn't really like. Next, I tried reading Professor Andersen's Natt by Dag Solstad. In English, this could be translated to Professor Andersen's Night. It was wordy and overcomplicated, and I didn't really connect with the main dilemma of the book, which was about not reporting a murder to the police. So at page 30 I decided, maybe not. Maybe this isn't for me. Next, I read and loved Something Rotten by Jasper Fforde. I read this on my Kindle, as you can see, and that was a great experience. Finally, I might start reading things on my Kindle. The book was a fantastic finale to the Thursday Next series. This is the last book in the first series about Thursday Next. There is a second series and I'll probably get to it soon. While reading this book, I discovered that if I tried to explain the plot, I sounded kind of crazy. It all did make sense within the world of the book though. This is basically about a spunky woman who saves an alternative world. It's great, but I really recommend starting with The Air Affair by Jasper Fforde, which is the first in this series. Next, I read and loved Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. It's a slow, good book, and I really identified with the main character and her need for having people at arm's length. Sometimes I feel that way myself. This book also talks about the comfortable silence and how good it can be to just exist in comfortable silence with another person. Now on to Booktubeathon. I managed to read all the books on my TBR and I completed all the challenges. Yay! So now all that remains is to tell you what I thought about the books. First, I read Aya from Yupugon, Season 2. This fulfilled the challenge of reading about a character that was very different from you, and I felt like, yes, she was quite different from me, even though we had some of the same thoughts about where our life should go. And in any case, most of the characters here are vastly different from me. I read this one completely outside and finished it in a day, so that's 2 challenges down. The book was good, but felt a little disconnected since all the characters were in different places dealing with different types of drama. But as with the last one, the storytelling was great and the art was amazing. Next, I read Atlanten by Ruth Lillegren. This book took me straight back to Svalbard, and it explains sort of the feeling of being a visitor there, as well as the contrast when you get back home. Next, I read Animal Farm by George Orwell. This was really well written, but I think I'll need sort of a few weeks or months to really think about what it said. This fulfilled the challenge of reading a hyped book. Then I read Anya's Ghost by Vera Brosgol. I loved the art in this, as well as the story and the culture clash within it. I can really recommend this book. It captures the feeling of being an outsider so very well. Next, I read Babette's Feast by Karen Blixen. This fulfilled the challenge of reading a book with a person on the cover. This little tome made me very happy. It was a very good story and it was very well written, and I was just left with a smile on my face. Then I read Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. These poems were really fun, but they were restricted to both meter and rhyme, which I don't really like in my poems. So even though these were fun, they weren't really my style. I'm really looking forward to seeing the musical Cats now that I've read the poems it's based on. It will be very interesting to see that musical now that I've read these. And finally, I read Bluett by Maggie Nelson. This fulfilled the challenge of reading a book you bought because of the cover. I mean, this cover is gorgeous, so how could I not? This felt like reading diary entries about the colour blue and what the author associates with it. I felt really close to the author while reading this book. Personal stories sort of made their way into the diary entries and it all became this one story at the end. It was very interesting, quite different from what I usually read, and lovely, just wonderful. So that was all the books I read or tried to read this summer. How has your summer reading gone? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you next time. Ha det!